In 2024, the average American trucking company lost money on every single mile it drove. Not the badly run ones, the average ones. The industry that moves everything you own, everything you eat, and everything you ordered last night, lost money doing it. And yet, every year, thousands of people line up to buy trucks and start logistics companies. So either they're all crazy, or they know something the numbers don't show. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what this business costs, what it pays, what kills it, and the one version of a logistics company that quietly makes money without owning a single truck. Everything here comes from real industry cost data, SEC filings, and the carrier's own numbers. No guesses. Let's start with the question everyone gets wrong. When you hear logistics company, you probably picture trucks. That's the first mistake. There are actually 3 ways to own this business, and they could not be more different. The first way? Asset heavy.
You buy the trucks, the vans, the warehouse. You own steel. The second way? Asset light. You own nothing but contracts and software. You're a freight broker. A shipper calls you with a load, you find a trucker to move it, and you keep the difference. Same industry, 0 trucks. The third way is a hybrid, somewhere in between. Here's the simplest way to think about it. You can own the taxi, or you can own the app. Both move people, only one of them gets rich doing it. Hold that thought, because at the end of this video, I'm going to show you what each version is actually worth when you sell it. The difference will surprise you. But everyone who enters this industry starts the same way. They price out a truck. So let's do that, honestly, with real numbers. A single semi-truck in America costs about $2.26 per mile to operate. That's the industry average. Sounds abstract? Let's break it open. Out of that $2.26, about $1 goes to the driver, wages plus benefits. Almost half the entire cost of this business is a human being. Then, 48 cents for fuel, 39 cents just for the truck payment itself, which hit a record high recently. 20 cents for maintenance, 10 cents for insurance, also a record high. And the leftovers go to permits, tolls, and overhead. Now, flip to the revenue side. A truck running hard, about 100,000 miles a year, brings in somewhere between $200,000 and $260,000. That sounds amazing. 200 grand from one truck. Until you run the actual math. Here's what happens to a typical owner-operator. Someone who buys one truck and drives it themselves. They gross around $155,000 a year. After fuel, the truck payment, insurance, maintenance, and taxes, they keep about $25,000. 25. That's the take-home. Less than a fast food shift manager for 11-hour days and weeks away from home. Let me make that real. Picture a guy named Marcus in Atlanta. In 2021, freight rates were booming. Spot rates, the open market price for moving a load, were over $3 a mile. Marcus did the math, bought a used truck, and quit his job. Smart move, right? The numbers worked. Then, 2023 arrived. Spot rates crashed more than 30%. But here's the thing about this business. Rates float. Costs don't. His $1,800 monthly truck payment didn't crash. His $13,000 insurance bill didn't crash. His revenue fell off a cliff, and his costs just stood there, watching. Marcus ended the year netting less than $30,000. He didn't buy a business. He bought himself a boss, made of steel and diesel. And that, right there, is the trap at the heart of this entire industry. Fixed costs, floating revenue. Your bills are locked in. Your income? Decided by a market you can't control. So the obvious answer is scale. If one truck barely works, buy 10. Spread the costs, get leverage. And sometimes that works. But scale in logistics hides a tax that almost nobody talks about. It's called empty miles. Right now, the average American truck runs empty about 17% of the time. 1 out of every 6 miles, the truck is burning fuel, burning the driver's hours, wearing out tires, and carrying absolutely nothing. Imagine a restaurant where 1 out of every 6 meals walks out the door for free.
That's normal here. That's a good fleet. So the real game isn't owning trucks, it's keeping them full. And that one variable, utilization, decides everything. Take the exact same 10-truck fleet. In a good year, with solid contracts and full trailers, it earns a healthy profit, maybe 8% margins. In a bad year, same trucks, same drivers, same routes, it loses money. Not less profit, actual losses. Nothing broke.
Nobody messed up. The market just moved, and the fixed costs did not. Same company, two completely different fates. And if you think getting bigger protects you, let me tell you about the company that tried to take on UPS. In 2021, two regional delivery carriers merged. LaserShip ran the East Coast. OnTrack ran the West. Put them together, and, on paper, you get the first real national rival to FedEx and UPS in decades. Investors loved it. The logic was clean. Two profitable networks, one coast-to-coast machine. Except, networks don't add, they collide. Each company had spent years optimizing for its own geography. Stitched them together, and the seams started tearing. Packages got lost in the handoffs. Delivery success rates dropped. Complaints piled up. And the big retail clients did exactly what big clients always do. They quietly moved their volume back to UPS and FedEx. The merger didn't fail because anyone was lazy or dishonest.
It failed because in logistics, the math that works at one size can completely stop working at the next. Scale doesn't multiply your profits, it multiplies your complexity. And while all of that is happening, there's one cost line growing faster than everything else. And it doesn't come from the road, it comes from a courtroom. In American trucking, there's a term that keeps insurance executives up at night: nuclear verdicts. Jury awards over $10 million after a crash. They used to be rare. Now, they're a pattern. There are law firms whose entire business is truck accidents, and their billboards line the same highways the freight runs on. One serious crash, one bad verdict, and the payout can exceed everything a small fleet is worth. Every truck, every contract, every year of work, gone in one judgment. Insurance companies know this, so premiums have climbed to record highs. And to be fair, real people get hurt in these crashes. Expensive insurance is partly the market forcing safety, but for a small operator, it means the price of one mistake is now total. Which brings us back to the biggest cost of all: people. Remember, almost half of every operating dollar goes to the driver. And drivers have options. In 2023, UPS signed a deal with the Teamsters Union that pushed top driver pay to around $170,000 a year in total compensation. Read that again. Driving a brown truck can out-earn a lawyer. Now, you're not UPS, but you're hiring from the same pool of humans, and every one of them knows that number. That's why big trucking companies see turnover rates near 90% a year. The industry basically replaces its entire workforce every 12 months. And every rookie replacement crashes more, fails more deliveries, and burns more money while they learn. It's a doom loop, and it never stops spinning. Okay.
So costs are brutal, lawsuits are looming, and your best employees keep leaving. Where does the money actually go? Follow one package and you'll find out. A package traveling from a warehouse in Chicago to a doorstep in Dallas covers about 1,000 miles. Here's the insane part. Roughly half the total cost of that entire journey happens in the last few miles. The final stretch, from the local depot to the front door, eats about 53% of the whole delivery cost. 1,000 highway miles cost less than the last 3 suburban ones. Why? Because a highway truck carries thousands of packages at once, so each package pays pennies. But a delivery van stops at one door at a time. In a dense city, one drop costs about $10. Out in the suburbs or the countryside, where houses are far apart, that same drop can cost $30, $40, even $50. And if you're charging $12 per delivery and it's costing you $50, you're not a courier.
You're a charity with a logo. It gets worse. Around 1 in 20 deliveries fails on the first try. Nobody's home, the signature can't be collected, the package rides back to the depot. Each failure costs almost $18, and each retry doubles the fuel and the labor for zero extra revenue. One failed drop can erase the profit from the next 3 successful ones. This is exactly why so many people fall into what looks like the perfect shortcut: Amazon's Delivery Partner Program. Amazon will help you start your own delivery fleet. Their own numbers say a partner running dozens of vans can generate up to $4.5 million in revenue, with profits up to $300,000 a year. Guaranteed packages, a built-in customer. Sounds like a dream, right? Here's the fine print. Amazon sets your rates. Amazon scores your drivers through an app. Every stop, every scan, every mile. And Amazon can cut your routes or end your contract when your numbers slip. You carry the payroll, the vans, the insurance, and all the risk. They carry the pricing power. It looks like a partnership. It works like a franchise, where your only customer is also your boss. So let's zoom out. Owning trucks means fixed costs, floating revenue, lawsuit exposure, and a landlord named Amazon if you're not careful. Which brings us back to the promise from the beginning: the people who skipped the trucks entirely. Freight brokers own no vehicles. When a factory needs a load moved, the broker finds a carrier, negotiates both sides, and keeps the spread in the middle, usually around 15% of the freight bill. Their costs? Laptops, phones, software, salespeople, no diesel, no truck payments, no parked metal bleeding money. Now, brokers aren't invincible. Convoy, a billion-dollar digital brokerage backed by Jeff Bezos himself, collapsed in 2023 when the freight market turned. Coordination without an edge dies too. But here's the payoff I promised you, and it's the single most important fact in this video. When logistics companies get sold, trucking businesses typically go for around 5 to 8 times their yearly profit. Asset-light businesses, the ones without trucks, sell for meaningfully more, sometimes 1 to 2 full multiples higher. Picture 2 companies side by side. Both earn exactly $1 million a year. One owns 30 trucks, one owns none. The one with no trucks sells for millions more. Same profit, bigger check. Because a buyer of the trucking company inherits aging equipment, driver turnover, and insurance risk. The buyer of the brokerage exists relationships and software. The market has already voted, and it voted against steel. So, who actually wins in logistics? Not the person with the most trucks. The winners control 5 things: density, so every mile carries freight; contracts with fuel clauses, so price shocks pass through instead of landing on them; utilization, so nothing sits parked; a clean safety record, so insurance doesn't eat them alive; and cash reserves, because in this business, a bad year isn't a possibility, it's a schedule. And one more thing is coming. Driverless trucks are already hauling real freight in Texas, no human on board. The long, boring highway miles will be automated first. The last mile, the doorsteps and stairwells and apartment buzzers, will stay human the longest. Which means the biggest cost in this industry, the driver, is about to be rewritten. Whoever owns the freight relationships when that happens, wins everything. So here's the truth this entire trillion-dollar industry runs on. The trucks were never the business. The trucks are the costume. The business is the spreadsheet, the contracts, the density, the clauses. The cash. The people who understand that own logistics companies. The people who don't just own trucks. If you want the full cost model from this video as a free spreadsheet, it's linked below. And next time, we're doing the economics of owning a warehouse, because that one hides an even stranger secret. Subscribe so you don't miss it.